Hey guys, it's Retro Rose here, and welcome back to another Mushy Monday. Today we're gonna do no face cam. It's been a bit of a rough week for little old me, so I'm just gonna give you guys a voiceover for this. But we're literally gonna pick up right where we left off. Um, if you're new here, again, my name is Retro Rose. I play a variety of games from indie horror, visual novels, AAA studio games, you name it. And again, today is Mushy Monday, so I play cute and cozy games. And today we're going to continue with Our Life Now and Forever demo because they've had a series of updates. And if you like to see my full playthrough, I do have that as a playlist on my channel, so feel free to check that out. But I'm going to be playing through this whole entire demo again because they have again updated the series. So let's get started. He acted like it was obvious, and it kind of was. You already knew he was popular. The paper crinkled in your hand, and you've been gripping it the whole time. You twisted away to pull the zipper on your bag. The welcome message you got from Quay went right next to the packet of homework Miss Murray had given you. Quay giving you a paper reminded you that you had one you could give him too. Gave him... Yep. Your bag was already open from putting away the newest paper, so you just tucked your hand into it again. The backpack couldn't be unzipped all the way, or everything would fall out. You only made a hole big enough for reaching around inside. Luckily, the paper from Quay's special notebook wasn't anything like the homework from Miss Murray. You didn't have to look to know it. You could tell just by touching. But you did have to worry about mixing up these pages that was yours to keep and the one that wasn't. You had to stick your face against the cold, bumpy zipper track to read which cottony paper you had before you were sure you gotten it right. And you look at Quay again. You dropped this. That's what you said when you held the paper out to him. It worked like a ticket to a time machine because you saw the exact same thing you did yesterday with Quay gasping, flailing his hands and all of it. That it's you. Both his hands smacked against his chest, pressing it back, while his head, shoulders, and eyes jolted out in total shock, I should say. You've got another one. He squished himself so much that the next question could only come out as a bashful peep. That's the paper from yesterday, right? The one Tamarack found? You glanced at the paper for a second, then back at Quay. The side with the words was the one you had up. He could read at least some of the message, even if it was a little bent in your hand. But you guessed it was still a shot, and Quay didn't want to miss the tiny chance he hadn't been caught losing another piece of the notebook. That was exactly what had happened, though. No, it's a different one. Yeah, it looks like it. Then his stiffness melted away and Quay stood evenly, with his head high again, and grin grew too, same as the flower after winter. You know, Rose, your sorcery amazes me. You and him broke out into laughter together. If you really were a sorcerer, you'd do a lot more than make Quay lose his paper. But it was still a good joke. Quay swept his left palm up towards you, kind of like how somebody might ask for a dance in a movie. He did fancy moves like that a lot, but you liked it. Quay was pretty and cool, even when he just wanted his stuff. You placed a page right there, like the paper was giving him a low five. Quay crossed his right arm over to reach into the left pocket of his pants. Out came his well-worn notebook with pages that barely stayed tucked inside. He flipped it open with his thumb and positioned the missing paper squarely on top of the rest of the set. He ran his now empty fingers over the tattered sides of the book, pressing the corners and edges that seemed sticking out, mostly back into straight lines. Then Autumn flicked his wrist too close to the notebook, dropped it back in his pocket, and patted the sides of his pants fondly. That's that. You did it. The page made it home. But I didn't have anything else to say then. You could tell since he wasn't looking at you anymore. His gaze was on the move. He'd already seen everything there was to see in the class that looked like all the other classes. At least you thought so. But he did find something that needed attention in his mind anyway. Oh, she hasn't left either. Hey, right here. I've got another thing to do. After cupping his hands around his mouth, Quay called out past you all the way to the other side of the room. Hey, Tamarack, get over here. You gotta see this. What is this? What is it? You have to look. Tamarack bounded across the room faster than an Olympic athlete, probably. It would be close to at least, because she was really speedy. She did a skipping leap for the last foot before reaching you and Quay and tossed her arm straight up as she stuck the landing. The fringe strand of her pink scarf, which had securely wrapped around her neck again, had flown up and almost kicked your nose. Hey there, I'm here. Good, check it out. Vaughn waved urgently for her to come closer with one hand and reaching in his right pocket with the other. That wasn't the side he kept the notebook in. He was going for something else. The two leaned in, having a one-on-one huddle. You weren't a part of it, but you could tell what he had. A little glimpse you could catch over his hunched shoulders and the sound of it. I think it's trash, if I remember correctly. It rustled and crinkled, not in a sharp way like leaves, but a soft, squishy way. Quay was holding a wadded up bag, probably from whatever grocery store Golden Grove had. He kept the bag tightly closed, gripping two sides of the top, keeping it in his fists pressed together, then suspiciously looked from side to side. No one else would be allowed to see this treasure inside. Tamarack did it too after him, either to double check or to not be left out, or maybe because she didn't want to miss what he might be spotting. All right, this is it. The spins pulled into your two neighbors. Tamarack hit the nail on her thumb and totally stopped breathing. There was nothing in the world for them right there except the bag and whatever it held. And finally, before Tamarack could fall over from no air, Quay parted his hands and stretched open his unusual gift wrapping. Mouth open, eyes wide, Tamarack gawked down into the bag. You figured she'd go wow or something, but she just scanned whatever was up and down with the same eager expression. It was possible she was so blown away her face had gotten stuck like that. It turned out not to be true, because she eventually saw enough for her reaction to slowly begin to rumbling inside. First, it was with the edges of her lips wobbling, then her eyelashes trembled, and finally her brows pinched fiercely. Tamarack snapped her head up and glared straight into Quay's awaiting smirk. That's trash, yep. I remember. Wait, what did you show Tamarack? It better not be something bad. A tiny bubble of a snicker popped out of Quay's mouth, and there was another even louder one. The laugh kept bursting bigger and bigger until he was shaking so bad that whatever was in the bag was almost bounced out. It's trash. What? Yeah, it is. I said so. Being heard of Quay's giggling fit could have been a problem, but Tamarack was entirely okay with shouting. Miss Murray looked over at the commotion from her fancy teacher's chair. She still had the folder with the roll call paper and class schedule open. Maybe there was no rule once class was out, or maybe this kind of thing was normal with her students, because she didn't tell any of you to quiet down. She just went back to her job stuff. By the time you focused on your neighbors again, Quay had started to calm down. Autumn shook his head and wiped a tear from the corner of his eyes. Then, through heavy breathings, he gave a wisecracking answer. I didn't say this was something you'd want to have, just that you should see it. Why would I want to see your trash? She asked him, while crossing her arms to go with it. Quay gathered handles in one hand and swung the arm. Quay gathered the handles into one hand and swung that arm up near his chest so that the bag hung over his shoulder. The pose would have fit best for someone modeling a purse 5 times more expensive than any your mom owned, and she had really nice ones for work, not the plastic bag full of garbage. I have reasons. I've always got reasons. What are they? The question was cautious, wary of any other tricks Quay might pull, but with curiosity was clear in her voice. Being presented a bag of garbage was okay as long as it had some kind of secret. Well, he paused to rearrange his face into something more serious and nodded thoughtfully. Even though me losing that paper was an unexplainable mystery, I was thinking about how you just got to town and are already having to pick up after other people to keep the forest clean. That's not fair. Oh, still speaking as a wise mentor, Quay used his other hand to gesture tellingly at the windows. So I decided to go back outside yesterday and check the forest for litter, and this is all the stuff I got so far. He really did have his reasons, and it was actually like he done with you and the note. Quay imagined what Tamrak had probably thought or felt from what happened yesterday, and when it seemed like it could be sad, he did something about it. Tamrak sucked in a gasp of air and let it out with a squeal. Really? You cleaned the woods? I did. All of this went from being on the ground into my trash bag. Wow, that's so nice. She did wow about it after all, and she also kicked her feet out one after the other in a happy little dance. Her bag jolted along with her moves like a partner. It was your good idea first. It could have been humble, but he cocked his chin and grinned so pleased with himself that it wasn't really anymore. Tamarack was too giddy to care or notice. Thank you, Quay. He smiled along with them. The little trio of you, Tamarack, and Quay stayed together, reunited over by the desk while the room became more and more empty of anybody else. After a while, besides you three, there was only the teacher left in class. It was empty enough and quiet enough you could hear the doorknob twist and click. That was all that happened, though. You'd figured someone would come in. You checked behind you, and the door opened a crack, and a person peeked through. From the teeny bit you could see, the person was a kid, or maybe a short grown-up. They were only half as tall as the door they were hiding behind. It definitely wasn't your mom coming in to get you. I think that's her. That's Miss Murray's son. I don't want to say Dylan. I think it starts with a D. Miss Murray was still flipping through millions of paper, but she called out from her desk. It's okay. You can come in. Class is over. Is it Darren? Oh, I feel so bad. It's either Dylan or Darren, or I'm completely off. Then the door got shoved all the way open, bumped into the wall after trying not to get noticed. Being called out that way made whoever it was confident. Oh, so it's so good. They stood in the doorway and put their hands on their hips. The hair on their head was a helmet of sunshine, orange shining and flaming out in rays everywhere. The person walked right in without looking at what they were seeing. It wasn't the way you or Tamarack came into class. It was the way Quay had, the way someone who had been there before had. But this wasn't their classroom. None of the students you saw the whole day were this person in a new school in the whole new town. You would have been more amazed. It was somebody you know. Even though that is true, you almost thought you had met the stranger. The kid's soft brown eyes itched at your brain. You were sure you'd seen those exact kind of eyes somewhere else. It was especially hard to figure it out when their gaze wasn't aimed at you. It'd gone to the front where the teacher was. Oh, you remembered. Seeing the new kid and Miss Murray made you think of the matching card games you had to play in school when you were little. You just won a flipping over the 4 identical chestnuts. The person's eyes, like Miss Murray, ran to her past the counting carpet and behind the desk. They threw their arms around her legs in a hug, squeezing her knees together. Your teacher gently brushed those sunbeam strands until the kids tilted their head back to smile up at Miss Murray with the toothy grin. I wonder how tall they are. If she's able to if they're able to hug her knees, they gotta be pretty short. I mean, they're kids with the proportions. I was thinking about them wrong. Hi. Hello, sir, 7th grade. Did you have a good first day? Darren, I was right. Their 7th grade or Darren or both gasped and let go before smiling even wider. Wait. He darted out from the desk just like that, and Miss Murray watched him go, rubbing at the spot of her pants that got squished. She was for sure his mom, not only because they hugged or because of their eyes. Miss Murray wouldn't have let a normal student get away with not answering her question. And you were right. My mom is your teacher. Darren's voice came out bright and loud and with a big laugh, though the sound was kind of crackly too. He had so much to express to the world, words could barely keep it all together. Quay's own sparkling giggles joined in. He'd open his arms all the way out, not holding anything back. I know. When Darren crossed the room, he stuck his own hand straight ahead, palmed up. Quay flipped his arm down and over to land a low 5 smack. It was a powerful hit, but they were both protected by gloves. Quay shrugged again, not feeling a sting. This year's gonna be tough. Boys, inside voices, please. And personally, I'd say my lessons are fair. Right, yeah, sorry, Miss Murray. Sorry, Mom. Darren lifted his fuzzy black earmuffs off his head using his hand to cover in the fuzzy black gloves. He was in the classroom to stay, and he'd been able to hear quieter words better without that. For the first time, Darren noticed there were two more people in the room. That made his smile flatten. You'd expected you would see new kids today. Darren didn't think about that. He tried to figure out what to do or think or feel now that it had happened. Tamarack skipped saying who she was so she could jump right into Darren's face on her tiptoes. As far as kids went, Darren was tall and Tamarack was short. Mom, you said she's your mom? A teacher is your mom? It didn't matter what Quay talked about Miss Murray having kids before you got there, that a lot happened to show that Darren was definitely her son. Having the kid of a teacher in front of her was too unbelievable for Tamarack, and that made Darren decide what to think about this meeting. He didn't like it at all. His face soured, and he backed away from Tamarack without thinking, like a giant fluffy bumblebee was coming to get him. Tamarack didn't let him get far from her. Oh. Yeah. I couldn't. She just wanted to talk to him. It was fun whenever Tamarack talked to you. Don't follow Darren like that. Quay was totally serious with the idea. It wasn't a rule, it was a law. Tamarack listened to it better if it came from an actual teacher. Oh. Tamarack deflated to stand like normal again and stopped scurrying towards Darren. He still didn't stop staring at her. Darren was too afraid of what she might do next to look away. The whole thing made Quay sigh. It was an accident though, because he sucked in another breath super fast after, and he smiled again like it never happened. Oh yeah, everyone, gotta meet each other for real now. We do? Yeah, we do. He used his own tiptoes and smooth twirled around the shift from Tamarack's side to Darren's. This is Mr. Darren Murray. Quay hooked an arm around Darren's stiff shoulders. The warm embrace got Darren all soft. He melted over Autumn, and their heads bumped together. The two were close as could be. He's my friend, and 12. 2 years older than us. Autumn proudly put up a peace sign that probably meant to. Remember the road right out from our cul-de-sac? Darren lives there. His house is the yellow one with a dark brown fence. We're almost neighbors. That's how we know each other. Yeah, the big hill. I know that. You'd passed a lot of houses on your way to school. Guess people had to live in them, but you always figured you would meet a person before seeing where they lived. It was kind of weird thinking we'd gone by his house before you ever knew who Mr. Darren Murray was. Quay tilted his face so he could be nose to nose with the boy down the street. That's what I've got to tell you. These are my new neighbors. What, both of them? I thought only one kid was coming. The poor boy was more confused than ever. Tamarack could shock people, even when she's trying not to. Quay came to the rescue. His arm slid off Darren's shoulders to pat him smoothly on the back instead. Both of them. Autumn used his other hand to nudge a finger towards the girl of many surprises. This one is Miss Tamarack Bowerman. Granny is her actual grandma, and she lives in the gray house now. It was easy for Quay to explain what happened now. If Darren had been there yesterday, he would have seen Quay's flurry when he found out Tamarack was there. This was what you had to do to sound smart, act like you've always knew something. There's people who couldn't tell the difference. Maybe it was just a Quay thing. It did work for him. Darren listened to his friend's wisdom amazed. And that, like a tiny snowman in front of an audience with one person in it, Quay uncurled his fingers and held his open palm out towards you. Is Miss Rose Smith. She's a girl. She is the one who moved into the empty middle house with her mom. We all met yesterday. In the real world, Darren had to look down to see Quay. It was a plain fact. He had to look down on every kid in his grade. But in the shine of his dipped eyes, you could be tricked into thinking Darren was looking up at Autumn. That's how much older Quay admired the younger one. The light went away when Darren glanced over the two people Quay had introduced. All that was there was this uncomfortable skepticism. Nice to meet you. You were pretty sure there was nothing weird about what you did, but Darren squinched his face at the attention. Hi. He was such a brat. I remember him being such a butt, and it was so funny. Oh, man. And Quay chuckled at that, playfully shoving his pal in the chest. Tamarack flapped a hand fast in a wave. It beat like the buzzing wing of a bee, and she kept being like that around Darren. But you didn't think it was on purpose. Hi, Darren. His features stayed squished. The awkward way Darren was with people still didn't get Tamarack to back off or even slow down. She had thoughts that needed to be said. You're both wearing orange sweaters. Tamarack stopped her fluttering by clasping her hands together over this important revelation. Darren curled his fingers too, gripping tight around his earmuffs that he is still holding. She hadn't said it teasingly, not even the silly kind of teasing Quay did, but he was bothered by it for some reason. Yeah, we both like orange. It was a short answer and a very serious one. The whole time Darren hadn't said one word in response to Tamarack until now, not even when she asked him about his mom or said hi. Talking about the same color clothes though, couldn't be ignored. Orange is the good. One of the top colors. Quay cut it to whatever was going on, nodding wisely. But you do know that my favorite color is. How would I know that? Cause I think it's pretty obvious. What, brown? For a second time he gestured over to Tamarack, but not just any part of her. Autumn pointed towards her mop of sparkly hair. It's golden. Oh, that's the best color there is. That's rude. Yeah, whether it was gold or not. Oh. My favorite color is purple, pink, red, yellow, and orange. That's a lot of favorites. It's probably about half the colors there are, but alright. Wait, and also, every color Rose likes is my favorite too. Sharing favorites is an amazing idea. You were glad she said that. Knowing your friend's favorite colors was important. Could you even call yourself a friend if you didn't know the answer to what their favorite color? Oh, the answer to their favorite color. Compared to Tamarack shouting, Darren responded with a peep. He still didn't want to talk to her, but misunderstandings about color ranking couldn't be made either. Red is my real favorite. Orange is still cool. At that point, everybody had talked about colors they liked except for you. Ooh, I'm a bit picky. I've got favorite colors too. You can't only pick one. Yeah. What are they? I love orange and gold, cranberry, pink, yellow, and blue. That's it. Yeah, me too. But you two have so many favorites, but I get it. Oh, took his trusty notebook out of his pocket. Pencil came with him. He flicked the pages open and began to scribble right there in the middle of the room during the conversation with people. Why are you doing that? School's over. I'm writing down your favorite colors. I want to remember that. The question was answered and it completely confused her. It made sense to you that she didn't get it. Tamarack didn't write stuff down, even when class was happening. Okay. A yelp cut her off of her own planned reaction. Confused by normal things and confused to normal people. That was Tamarack. You're using your other hand. The left one? Yep, that's my good hand. Wow. Tamarack ran out of words to blurt out, and Darren didn't want to do anything on his own, and not with you either. It had to be Quay. So the three of you waited there as the tricky, scratchy sounds of Quay's writing went on. The more letters Quay added to his notebook, the more his friend shifted uncomfortably. Hey Autumn, are you coming to my house today, right? Yeah, I am. That was the third quick and direct answer Quay gave while busy with his task, but it had a big impact on Darren. He smiled relieved. The promise made up for all of the stuff Darren hadn't enjoyed since he walked into the classroom and had two new people become a little part of his life. Oh, excuse me. I'm actually going to stop here, you guys. I'm a bit tired today, so it's just going to be a shorter video. More than likely give you your hour long for next video. So thank you for joining me on this next part of our Life Now and Forever demo update. I'll catch you guys next time, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and push that notification bell. And please share my content with friends and family. It really helps push my work out there so I can bring you guys more content. Other than that, I'll catch you later. Bye.